spread this channel to as many people as you can. Get as many people to subscribe to this channel in particular. I'm not doing pranks. I'm putting heavy machinery on the table. I'm trying to create get the most cutting edge arguments and present them to you guys.
For your argument to hold, you need to show that fundamental particles don't depend on anything. Okay?
Alright, so here's the thing. What you and Aaron couldn't deal with is, and this is the new atheist movement, subhanAllah, the new atheist movement is crumbling right in front of me. One by one, every single one of them cannot deal with this argument. And it's not because of, by the way.
And look then at how deceived this man is and amazed with himself. SubhanAllah, the new atheist movement is crumbling right before me. Why Muhammad is getting excited for, only Allah knows. Because there's no overpowering, there's nothing that has taken place during any of these debates that would make anyone want to get excited. But he believes he's achieved something.
The new atheist movement is crumbling right in front of me. One by one, every single one of them.
And actually, the onlookers and the one who watches the video, who's got no clue about the argument itself, it just appears that, you know, whatever he's saying, he must have overpowered them, because look how it's going on. So it appears to them that he's done something, because many of them don't understand the arguments anyway.
The new atheist movement is crumbling right in front of me. One by one, every single one of them cannot deal with this argument. And it's not because of, by the way, I can't believe it. Like, you know, it really, all it took was just a little bit of bringing out an argument, and the whole new atheist movement in front of my very eyes.
Could you, instead of preaching, make your argument?
No, I will make my argument, Julia.
Grandstanding, not preaching.
Yes, sorry.
Pardon?
Grandstanding, not preaching. Is that right?
Yeah. So your question was that particles don't depend on anything, they're independent. I'm saying to you...
No, I'm saying you have to show that.
Do you believe that particles are independent?
Of what?
You said please don't retract your argument.
So now he claims that she's retracting her argument. Of course, the cameras are looking, and so we have to make the affair look good. Don't retract your argument now. Don't retract it. She wasn't actually making an argument. She was saying, you prove that these fundamental particles are dependent upon this wajib wujud that you're speaking.
Don't retract your argument, because watch this, Josh. This is what Christian missionaries need to learn.
And then he turns to Josh. He says, watch this, Josh. Watch how I deal with her, basically. And this is again a show and a display that indicates quite clearly that this man does not have the wisdom of da'wah and the wisdom of the da'i. And this is not how we give da'wah and how we call to Allah Azza wa Jal, humiliating individuals who may genuinely have a genuine question that they wish for you to prove. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. Call to the way of your Lord بالحكمة, with wisdom and with good sermon, and argue with them in a way that is better. That is what Allah Azza wa Jalla has commanded us.
This off is the standard model, which is the best model we have for the universe right now. It is incomplete. All physicists will admit that it's incomplete.
No problem. But Julia, you said that particles, fundamental particles, don't depend on anything.
Definitionally, they're not composed of anything else.
No. You said, unless you want to retract that statement, which is what every atheist does when they're in front of me, you said that fundamental particles don't depend on anything.
I believe that to be the case. Right. I do not claim that it's true.
Perfect. Now, do you believe that fundamental particles don't depend on anything?
I believe that to be the case,
Excellent.
but I'm not claiming that that's true.
He repeats the question, she repeats her answer. I believe that that's the case. And I'm not saying that is the 100% truth, but that is what we were taught. You prove your point.
Thank you for saying that, because now what you've shown is that you believe in the existence of an independent being.
How pathetic really is this response of Mohammed Hijab? There is no issue, there's no point being made. She didn't accept any of what he's claiming.
Thank you for saying that, because now what you've shown is that you believe in the existence of an independent being.
I'm glad you've said that, because now you believe in an independent being. So the only issue then, as far as he's concerned, is bringing them to the point of believing that there is one necessary existence that everything returns back to. How is this da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jalla?
But the only thing is, hold on. The only thing is now... Do
you know how many fundamental particles there are?
No problem. But you accept, because before you were saying there's no such thing as a necessary thing. You're saying now that there is... Now hold on, Julie. And you're going to retract your statement, because that's what every atheist does in front of me. You said...
And look then at how deceived this man is. and amazed with
According to
himself.
quantum field theory, fundamental particles are essentially just energy spikes in
No
a
problem.
field.
But your belief, and
So
you,
they
your
sort of
belief-
depend on energy.
Julia, you shouldn't have come here today and tried to challenge me. Because what you've done, no, seriously, you should really think about it before you come and stand and make claims without
No,
revising it.
I've told you what you need to show me
Julia,
to
no,
make
I don't
your
need to show you
argument.
anything.
Yes,
shouldn't
you
have-
do.
You shouldn't have come here because what you've done now is you've given me exactly what I wanted. In the beginning you said that I have to prove that there's a necessary independent being. Now you've just said you believe that fundamental particles are not dependent on, your words exactly, you believe, you said I believe, fundamental particles are not dependent on anything. Now all I'm saying as a Muslim is that my understanding of...
So
let me finish.
God is a muon.
Let me finish. No, your God... My ears, yeah, your God is a new, is that. Now, the only difference between my God and your God is size. That's the only difference. No, honestly.
The only difference between your God and my God is size. This, no doubt, is tajseem, is making Allah Azza wa Jalla jism, a body, just as it has in it kufr. Whether Mohammed Hijab realizes or not. And this is the issue. The issue is these affairs should not be entered into by the one who doesn't have a clue concerning the aqeedah, the actual aqeedah, and the actual belief, and the actual aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. If he's not well grounded, leave this alone, because you're only going to cause confusion. You're only going to cause people to be more distant from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Debated a guy who was supposed to be one of their specialists, and he was speaking some rubbish. That is how they're going to leave. They're not going to leave feeling that this is haqq and that this is what I should be upon and be about. Rather, this guy was just talking rubbish. He just tried to humiliate me, and then he just dismissed me.
The only difference between my God and your God is size. That's the only difference. Honestly, you need to understand, you're not an atheist anymore in front of me. I've converted you straight to Islam.
You're not an atheist anymore, he says. I've now converted you straight to Islam by her believing that this particle is an independent being. I've converted you straight to Islam. This is the deen of Allah. This is shahada. This is how we call people to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is how the prophets and the messengers used to call. Billahi alaykum.
The only thing you need to know, what you need to know and believe in is the right attributes of God and the Prophet Muhammad as a messenger. And obviously, if you want to believe in Jesus,
is Muhammad the Prophet, the messenger of a muon, of an electron, of a photon?
So then is Muhammad the prophet of the muon and the electron, and because of the fact that you've attested to the fact that the muon is, in your argument, a smaller version of Allah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Then look at how after this pathetic argument, look how he just dismisses this physicist.
Either you want to believe in this or that.
You're putting
And that's what
words
atheists
in
do.
my mouth.
Josh, this is what atheists do.
Yeah.
Julie, is there anything you want to add? Sorry, we're done here.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes, of course.
You talk about contingency. I
Okay,
understand
you
it's
guys.
a pity that people didn't give you a chance to give your full answer.
Yeah, so Julie, is there anything else you want to say? We're done. We're done here. Is there anything else you want to say? Then we have an individual who comes in and interjects. And this individual, he interjects, and his argument is one that Mohammed Hijab will find difficult, as we're going to go on to see.
Nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. You're a nice man. You didn't come like Julie with a hype and then have to leave with her head, her tail between her legs.
And that's why I try to get the most cutting edge arguments and present them to you guys.
Is the Quran contingent?
No, absolutely not.
Is the Quran contingent? Yani, is it dependent upon anything?
The Quran is not contingent.
No, because we believe it's an attribute of God.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? So,
It's not an issue.
well, it
You
is.
asked the question before, I would say yes.
No, I
It's
knew you would say no.
Okay, no,
I
you
knew you
didn't.
would say
You thought I
no,
would say
but
yes, but no.
actually,
It didn't work.
so it
Sorry.
didn't need God.
No, it's an attribute of God. The
Well,
Quran
no,
is an
did
attribute
it
of God.
need?
It's a
Is
speech of
it
God.
dependent?
It's
Is
a
it
subgroup.
Is it interdependent?
The Quran is a subgroup of an attribute of God, which is speech. So it's
Which came first?
no, it was there at the same time. It was always there. It's eternal. The Quran
Yeah,
is
well,
eternal.
Then Mohammed Hijab, he falls into this innovated bid'i statement. He said, no, it was there at the same time. It was always there. It is eternal. This statement is one of the bid'ah of the Kullabiyya that we discussed earlier. The Kullabiyya and the Asha'ira, they began from the issues that they believed in is that as it relates to the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, they began to say, because of course the issue of speech and Allah speaking and what they saw the ramifications of that would be and are, they began to say that Allah Azza wa Jal, the Quran is not the speech of Allah, the Quran that we have. But the speech of Allah is an entity, is one entity that remains with Allah, that is with Allah Azza wa Jal, and that is eternal. And so they began to say that the Quran is eternal, since it is from that main body of speech that we consider the actual characteristic of Allah's speech.
It was always there. It's eternal.
Yeah, well, this is what you're saying, but I'm afraid it's not a great theological argument. No, it's not great.
He's saying this is what you're saying, but and then he said, oh, thank you very much. Nice try. Anybody else? As though this is some gladiator auditorium, and who's going to try me next? And so here, the argument that the man makes, he continues to develop it. And we see the confusion of Mohammed Hijab.
Because if you're creating a Quran that's saying all of these things happen, talks about the Bible, talks about the past, talks about the future, then it's all determined.
We see that the argument is difficult for him to deal with. And so in order, or as a diversion tactic, what was your name again? So he said, look, the Quran speaks about the Bible. It speaks about the future. So it speaks about past things, it speaks about future things.
Interdependent, eternal, and not dependent on anything else, and yet the Quran is determined, is dependent on all of the things that the Quran describes happening.
That's clear. I understand what you're saying. No, because there's a misunderstanding of the Islamic theology here.
I mean, it was a big thing, wasn't it?
Ahmad and Mu'tazilis. I'm a Hanbali, right? So I follow Ahmad.
No,
right?
yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of people were killed over this, weren't they?
Well, not really. I mean, it's not
a lot of people.
Not a lot, but some people were tortured over it. Yeah.
Okay.
Not really. People were killed over this, weren't they? He said, well, not really. There were hundreds of people who were killed over this. He says, oh, well, not really. A few people were punished, absolutely.
So in other words, the speech of Allah is intrinsic to Allah. And the Quran is a subset of that speech, meaning it's also eternal, just like Allah.
And so on, and that is exactly the belief of the Ash'ari. There is no issue here that he's established, and there is no way that he's demonstrated that he is upon the belief of Ahlul Sunnah is in relation to the Quran and in relation to the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal. That we believe that the speech is qadim al-naw', that is, speech of Allah is eternal with Allah. The attribute of speech is eternal with Allah Azza wa Jal. But the ahad, that is, each individual instance of Allah Azza wa Jal speaking, occurs, as we mentioned earlier, in accordance with the will of Allah.
It's also eternal, just like Allah.
But you could say the same about reality.
He said it's inseparable and it's eternal, which is the belief, bid'i, innovated, bid'ah belief of the Kullabiyya.
I mean, even as a recitation, it's quite difficult to have a start and a beginning of something that's eternal.
Yeah, no, we don't have a start.
Well, the beginning of the recitation.
No, it was always there.
Yeah, I know.
Here, the principle of Ahlul Sunnah should have been established, that we believe that the speech of Allah is eternal, but as far as each individual instance of Allah speaking, then it is in accordance with the will of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal utters them in accordance with His will.
That recitation.
No. So here's a misunderstanding. No, I see what you're saying, but because the speech of Allah is one category, and then a subset of that is the Quran. That Quran is eternal. It was only transmitted to the Prophet by the angel Gabriel, which was already there eternally in what we call the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet.
So now He's made the Lawh al-Mahfuz eternal. And that is not the belief of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The Lawh al-Mahfuz is not eternal. The Lawh al-Mahfuz is a creation from the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. And so He said it was there eternally in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Batil.
The universe can be taken out of existence, whereas Allah can never be taken out of existence.
Can the Quran be taken out?
No.
Why not?
And the Quran in the recitational form cannot be taken out of existence. In physical form, like books and stuff.
No, I'm not talking about.
I believe that will happen.
I'm not talking about.
Then we hear this establishment of the two forms of Quran, the eternal Quran and the Quran that is recited and that we have. This is the belief of the Ash'ari.
Right, so we would say that it's an attribute of it's one of his many attributes.
Yes,
but his mercy,
his
merciful acts are different from
It's
his
like
mercy,
saying,
right?
It's like,
No, but his
mercy
is an attribute, but his merciful acts are continuous.
So then the other guy, he makes a statement saying, well, isn't his merciful acts are different from his mercy, right? This statement is more in accordance with the belief of Ahl Sunnah than what Mohammed Hijab is saying. Yani that we have the mercy of Allah, we believe in the mercy of Allah, and then we have the act of Allah Azza wa Jal showing mercy. The act of Allah Azza wa Jal showing mercy is again connected to His will.
So this is classical theism is held to that.
Well,
So I'm
look,
saying
that's a merely logical study. It's actually a fallacy, in fact.
it's not a fallacy.
It is a
It's a traditional position in theistic thought.
It's a fallacious one.
No, it's not, because it tries to uphold.
Right, let's not
no,
go
no, one second. One second.
Talk about,
One second. Yeah, but it shouldn't just be because he's an atheist. We're discussing about something which you are holding as true.
And so it shouldn't matter that there's an atheist here listening or what have you. Let's discuss these issues, and that is the case with as it relates to the da'wah. Yani because of the fact that there's a particular individual here, we're not going to speak about an issue that could guide all of the people, including that Christian that he's speaking to.
So, is the Quran able to exist eternally without Allah?
No,
exactly.
because the Quran is an expression of Allah.
Well, then it's contingent on Allah.
No, it's like for example.
Well, I think that's a fair argument.
You're saying there's this necessary being.
Yes.
There is absolutely nothing to actually say this is Allah.
All right.
It is just a necessary being.
Thank you
There's
very
nothing
much.
to say it is conscious.
Perfect.
It is personal.
Yes.
It
No.
interacts with people.
You're absolutely right.
And then you can only make descriptive features of it. So like let's say with respect to time, like it's timeless, it's spaceless. There's nothing prescriptive about it.
Thank
you
you very
can't
much.
derive an oath from an is. It just is. And now you're saying it's Allah. So that's where the problem.
Right.
Yeah, I'm right.
You're right. And if that's what
He wasn't saying that.
No, you're right, and you're right.
So we come to the conclusion that actually you're all absolutely right, and it actually doesn't. And then he goes on to mention that this is one of the issues that I have with Muslim philosophers, who he himself is one of them. And so, Ikhwan, that is just one of the debates of Mohammed Hijab, and you'll find when you go through the debates and listen to them that the man is not well grounded in the Aqidah. The man is not grounded in the Aqidah Salafiyah at all. His claim to be athari, as I say and I mention, is not substantiated by his method of debating and speaking about Allah, speaking about the Aqidah, Asma' wa Sifat, and so on.
No, you're right, and you're right. Not that it's Allah with all of the attributes mentioned in the Quran. Absolutely. Do you know what? I want to shake your hand for saying that. Shake my hand. And shake my hand as well, because this
So after all of this argument, after the hours of standing and debating, he accepts that this actually does not point towards and lead towards Allah. Then, ya Tura, why would you use a method of debating that you yourself accept does not lead to Allah Azza wa Jal, and call this da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal? And then establish organizations raising money for this da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal, which doesn't actually lead except to a wajib wujud, except to a necessary existence that is not in any way, shape or form necessarily a conclusion that people are going to come to that this is Allah.
I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to make a contribution to public discourse. Whether you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, I genuinely feel like such contribution is what will make the world a better place, frankly.
in the existence of an independent being.
Try to create get the most cutting edge arguments and present them to you guys.
My God and your God is science.
I'm not doing pranks, I'm putting heavy machinery on the table, heavy ideological and philosophical and religious material, machinery on the table. and still people are, alhamdulillah, watching.
Anymore in front of me. I've converted you straight to Islam.
Try and spread this channel to as many people as you can. The videos that I do, if you feel like there's one video in particular, get as many people to subscribe to this channel in particular, because it does help me access certain things and do certain things I would not have otherwise been able to do.
It's just a little bit of bringing out an argument and the whole new atheist movement in front of my very eyes.
Could you, instead of preaching, make your argument?
And as for the non-Muslims, you know, I'm always keeping you guys in mind, and that's why I've tried to create get the most cutting edge arguments and present them to you guys. And I want to thank you, and also you have a lot of praiseworthy traits, not least among which is bravery for subjecting yourself to maybe a contradictory perspective to the one that